And woof woof, friends and supporters of Golden Rescue. My name is Viva Tam and I am the co-chair of Golden Rescue. It's my pleasure to welcome you to the 2021 annual general meeting of the Canadian Golden Retriever Adoption Service, Inc., otherwise known as Golden Rescue. Who would have thought we would all be meeting again this year via Zoom, but here we are. So I declare our meeting called to order. Julie Hendren will act as the secretary for this evening. Thank you, Julie. Also attending tonight's meeting is Jamie Orland from our accounting firm of Go LLP. Welcome and thanks for coming, Jamie. At this time, I'd like to introduce you to our wonderful board of directors. Kelly Blaze, why don't you wave when I call your name? Kelly Blaze, Lori Caldy, Monica Freilich, Julie Hendren, Sharon Kelly, Harry Mathis, Patty Mathis, Cynthia Mazur, Jane Riddell, and Patty Lecton and Ben Salmon send their regrets for tonight. So I will now ask that our 2021 AGM agenda be approved.
I move that our 2021 AGM agenda be approved.
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. All right, super. So that's carried. So now I'm just doing the chair report. So again, good evening all and welcome. This time last year, we were praying the pandemic would be over soon and maybe, just maybe, we could celebrate by having our 30th anniversary picnic. Who would have thought that a whole year later, we would still be struggling to get back to normal, whatever normal is. Not to minimize the devastation of the last year, but it did prove one thing, that humans are much harder to train than dogs. Our Goldens are much better at sit and stay than we are. Certainly for Golden Rescue, things will likely never be the same, but I'm not entirely sure that's a bad thing. COVID has forced us into new ways of thinking, new ways to communicate, new ways to fundraise, new ways to screen adopters and fosters. And let's not forget new ways to deal with our own Goldens who are now used to being with us almost all the time. Our boys, both rescues, are both exhibiting signs of separation anxiety, something they've never had before. So let's look at the bright side of this pandemic year. For starters, the picnic was sadly canceled, but it forced us to reinvent the silent auction by putting it online. It was so successful that we are now doing it 3 times a year, more than quadrupling the amount of money we raised from our yearly picnic auction. Thanks to Juanita and her amazing team and donors. Our monthly donors have increased and our overall donations are up. As many of our supporters have said, well, I can't use my travel money this year, so I'd like to contribute some of it to you. Our foster applications have soared as people find themselves with time on their hands and the desire to help. Our education team kicked into high gear and we have done many virtual presentations by telling our story and promoting rescue and responsible pet ownership. Our Wishbone lottery last year was the most successful yet, as the company that managed our online store closed because of the pandemic, so we brought the store in-house. And with Carol and Tom at the helm, they've made it bigger and better. And speaking of bigger and better, our social media platforms have always been fantastic, but they are even more incredible now. Always entertaining, fresh, fun, and full of great content. We managed to figure out and set a date for The Guardian to go digital, saving paper and $25,000 a year in printing and mailing costs. We updated our foster and adoption guides and made many of our forms online and online friendly and easier to use. And as always, we have continued to grow our teams, and today we are even stronger with the incredible volunteer talent and passion. So overall, Golden Rescue fared the pandemic surprisingly well, and our financials are sound thanks to the ingenuity, enthusiasm, commitment, and hard work of all of our volunteers, supporters, and donors. We are so fortunate to have all of you. Of course, last year was not without its challenges. Although we rescued 193 Goldens, only 61 were domestic. SPCA's, humane societies, and shelters are reporting the same thing, that they have never been so quiet, some not even having any dogs to adopt. On the surface, this looks like good news, but we are steeling ourselves for the day that people return to work and realize they can't care for their pets anymore. We know this is going to happen, and we are ready. In the meantime, our international mission of love was very busy, and with the crisis in Cairo, we are doing everything we can to help. Our 24 karat gold program was very successful, and we knew that the 100 Goldens for 100 families campaign was extremely ambitious. Well, we actually exceeded our goal and raised enough to bring 104 Goldens into our care. Nothing short of stunning, and a testament to our fabulous supporters. One thing I'm particularly proud of with Golden Rescue is that we do not give up on our Goldens. If there is a way to rehome even the most challenging of Goldens, we will persevere. And JC is the perfect example of this. It took over a year and a lot of money. We don't even want to count, but we found the perfect family, and he's doing amazingly well. Dear Gracie, struggling and totally paralyzed in her back end, was able to leave Cairo and be adopted by a family of angels who have fallen in love with this amazing girl, a girl who simply refused to give up. There's no doubt that Golden Rescue put the light back in her eyes. And there are many more stories like that, for sure. And sometimes our hearts are bigger than our pocketbooks, but we always find a way. So to reiterate, although this year has been difficult due to the pandemic, we have actually done pretty well. This is 100% due to our dedicated, tireless volunteers, our committed board members, and our amazing fosters, supporting vets, monthly donors, supporters, and adopters. We stayed positive and we stayed strong. On behalf of the board and our Goldens, I want to thank you all from the bottom of our hearts. And I'm crossing my fingers that I can see you all at the picnic this year, where we can celebrate our 30th anniversary +1 years together, and maybe even have a much needed hug and some licks and slurps from all our Goldens. Thank you.
Awesome.
So up next, next on our agenda is the approval of the 2020 AGM minutes, which have been circulated to the board prior to today's meeting. Would someone please make a motion to accept the minutes of the 2020 AGM minutes?
Jane, I move to accept the minutes of the 2020 AGM.
Cynthia, I second the motion.
All in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
Carried. Thank you. 2020 was a different, challenging, but nevertheless eventful year for Golden Rescue. In addition to working together and collaboratively on many projects, the directors have specific areas of responsibility. Next on our agenda, we have a number of our directors reporting on their team's initiatives and activities. So to lead things off, I'm going to introduce Patty Mathis, who's our Director of Golden Care. So you're going to talk about operations.
Good evening, everyone. In 2020, our wonderful volunteers rescued 193 Goldens. 61 were domestic and 132 were through our rescue mission of love. 111 of these Goldens were males and 82 were females. 33 were spayed, 74 neutered, and 86 were intact. Our domestic Goldens were surrendered by 10 breeders, 6 from the animal shelters and SPCA, 36 owners, 5 Kijiji responses, and 4 vet clinics. Surrender reasons last year were varied. People were moving, losing their homes, had no times. Many bought puppies and had to give them up because they found they were just too much for them. medical and financial reasons, behavior, and the start of separation anxiety has started. Alpha Pause is expensive, but we haven't been able to find a trainer that will take our Goldens in-house and treat them as their own instead of putting them into kennels. Our transport team now has 364 amazing transporters in Canada. And last year, even with COVID, 102 Goldens were safely transported. Our dedicated hotline team responded to 1,122 calls of our Goldens in program, and in fact have more than doubled in the last year. Kudos to the foster team for handling such a surge in foster applications. So many people stayed home and so many people wanted to bring Goldens into their homes to love them. 2020 was certainly a challenge for our volunteers in Golden Rescue and our supporting vets. Thanks go out to our many supporting vets across Canada, despite lockdown, and double the work for them. They continue to see our Goldens and take excellent care of them. Everyone stepped up and managed to navigate through ever-changing new protocols and restrictions with passion and willingness. Thank you all. We appreciate all you did.
Thanks, Patty.
You're welcome.
Up next, Jane Riddell, our co-chair. She's going to talk about our rescue mission of love.
Hello, everybody. So in a year that most of us would like to forget even ever happened, there were some bright spots. And one of these was our international mission of love. And despite the tremendous hardship that the pandemic created for most of the world's population, Golden Rescue was able to rescue 132 pups from Mexico, Istanbul, and primarily Egypt, thanks to the generous support of our volunteers and our donors. It started in the spring with our 24 Karat Gold Challenge. We knew that if things were bad here in Canada, they would be horrific in those developing countries. So crossing our fingers and our paws, we took to social media to raise funds to bring 24 international Goldens here. To our surprise and delight, we exceeded our goal and ended up being able to bring over 30 of these lucky pups here to live in loving forever homes, literally saving their lives. The success of that initiative inspired us to redouble our efforts, resulting in the rescue of the aforementioned 132 Goldens, 58 females and 74 males. Now, the cost to bring an international Golden to Canada runs about $1,500, which we know often creates some controversy. And people will occasionally ask us, why do we rescue dogs from other countries? Why not focus just on Canada? And our answer is always the same, because the need is great and because we have the resources to do so. Our priority is never to say no to a Canadian Golden in need. So we will protect that priority, but when we see hardship for these beautiful dogs, and we have the means to help, it would be inhumane not to. We could not accomplish any of this good work without the support of our amazing volunteers who work countless hours to do all of the heavy lifting required to find loving homes for these dogs. We owe you a great debt of gratitude. And the same must be said for the people in Egypt, Istanbul, and Mexico who move heaven and earth and overcome unimaginable obstacles to literally save the lives of as many of these dogs as they possibly can. You are angels on earth, and we respect and love you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane. Okay, up next is Kelly is going to talk about communications and social media.
Thank you, Viva. Good evening, everyone. It has been another interesting year with the pandemic still at the forefront, but Golden Rescue continues to forge ahead, looking for new and innovative ways to communicate our key messages, raise awareness about rescue, and broaden our reach across Canada and the globe. This year saw the Golden Rescue store come in-house. This was a large but exciting undertaking and came together beautifully with help from our friends at Generator Design. 2 amazing volunteers have taken on the task of managing the online store and breathing new life into it. They continue to add new merchandise, and increased sales have been confirmation that what they are doing is truly working. Our photography team continues to capture beautiful images of our Goldens that complement the content we share across all platforms, both online and in print. Our media relations team continues to cultivate relationships with many of the news outlets, getting our message out there, as well as seizing any opportunity to raise awareness about rescue. Social media, our website, our quarterly newsletter, The Guardian, e-blasts, and targeted fundraising campaigns remain important components in allowing us to connect with different audiences and a broad range of demographics. These elements are executed beautifully by some remarkably talented and committed volunteers. They enable us to show people who we are and what we do. They also allow us to tell the heartfelt stories of our rescues, raise awareness, donor dollars, and most of all, champion our cause and expand our footprint. Social media and our website continue to grow exponentially, and it takes a team of volunteers to keep the content fresh while driving initiatives forward. We have an outstanding team of graphic and content designers, moderators, Facebook admins, story makers, Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest coordinators. I cannot say enough about this exemplary group of volunteers that I get the honor of working alongside each and every day. They keep our branding consistent, our messaging on point, and they do it all without skipping a beat. Social media is rapidly ever changing, and we have to change with it in order to remain viable. In the past year, we have refined our best practices, streamlined our workflow with our amazing events team, and added a group of talented story makers led by a longtime dedicated volunteer. These improvements have allowed us to engage with even more people, resulting in increased support and advocacy. We continue to grow our followership on all platforms. We currently have almost 42,000 followers on Facebook, almost 4,400 followers on Twitter, nearly 15,000 followers on Instagram, and 2,100 followers on Pinterest with over 23,000 monthly viewers. We've revamped our e-blast team by adding an administrator, graphic designer, and digital performance specialist, all worth their weight in gold. These additions have allowed us to streamline our content and track our performance. We have close to 12,000 subscribers on our digital mailing list with a 29% open rate and an average click-through rate of just under 1%. This is a good benchmark to measure the success of our e-blasts against so that we can continue to improve these percentages. The foundation of our success has and will always be rooted in our volunteers and our supporters. I am never short of amazed at the leadership from our board chair, Viva Tam. Her dedication, commitment, and passion for rescue is inconceivable at times. I continue to be amazed at the resilience I observe on a regular basis from this incredibly hardworking board of directors, as well as our many dedicated volunteers throughout the entire organization across Canada, US, and internationally. Many of these golden angels work tirelessly behind the scenes, from our hotline, intake, transport, and placement teams to our database, events, online store, fundraising, education and advocacy, flight volunteers, and our magnificent veterinarian care teams. And the list goes on. With over 500 plus volunteers, it's impossible to mention everyone, but know this, their passion for rescue is always at the core of everything they do. We have the most amazing supporters whom we could not do the work we do without. Even amidst all of the challenges that COVID-19 has presented, they continue to come through time and time again. In closing, as shared on our website, I quote, "We love what we do, but our hope is that one day Goldens and pets in general will not need rescuing. Ours is a labor of love, so until that day comes, with your help, we will continue to recommit daily to rescuing every golden we can."
Next up is Cynthia Mazer, and Cynthia's going to talk about the lottery, and she's got the best wallpaper behind her.
Yeah,
I love it.
me too.
Took me all day. Took me all day to get it done. Thank you, Viva. Thank you, board. Welcome. Good evening. As reported at our last AGM, the 7th Wishbone Lottery was our best year. The draw took place in September 2020, and it was a huge success. We sold over 4,835 tickets, over 500 more than the last lottery, netting us over $124,000 in the bank. The Wishbone Lottery is the primary fundraiser for Golden Rescue, and because of its success, we have continued to rehome these precious Goldens. 100% of the money raised was spent on the vet care and behavioral training that they can have so that they can have a second chance. This month, we have launched our 8th Wishbone Lottery. The draw will take place February 14th, 2022. We know someone will be having a very special Valentine. It only takes one ticket, but more tickets increase the odds. We have the great grand prize, dinner for two anywhere in the world, a $30,000 travel voucher with $1,000 cash, second prize of a $5,000 travel voucher with a $2,000 cash, and the third prize of a $2,000 gift certificate to Viamede Resort on Stony Lake in the Kawarthas. I'm pretty sure that most people in this world are ready to travel and vacation again. How better to kick off the new year winning the lottery? Luckily, our draw has only 5,000 tickets, so your chances of winning are exceptionally good and the vouchers have no expiry date. Our success is dependent on our supporters and volunteers, so please put the word out and share our exciting lottery fundraiser. We are currently looking for ticket sellers and anyone interested in helping. Let's make 2020 the year we sell out. I'm honored to be part of this lottery team, to work with the people involved with the great fundraiser, and to be part of the board, helping support a wonderful work of Golden Rescue. Thank you.
Thank you, Cynthia. And yes, let's make 2021, 22 the year we sell out.
Yes, our 8th lottery. Thank you.
Thanks, Cynthia. Okay, up next is Harry. Harry, you're going to talk about planned giving.
Yes, welcome all, and thanks, Viva. Planned giving for the year 2020 was kind of quiet. We had a few inquiries through the year, some bequests of donations from estates. Spoke to a number of Golden Rescue supporters over the year, and it seems as though the Guardian is getting out there to even folks that are not on the mailing list. It's a wonderful expression of what we do, and hopefully when we get to the electronic version, we can expand that readership. We received and advised and reportedly actioned all the calls that came in. We had a number of questions or directions on how to, for wills and take care of families, take care of Goldens after their owners were passing. Seems to be a very common question from Golden owners, and questions related to legacy and afterlife planning. We ran an article in the early part of the year on willing wisdom. We will write another one in the coming year, and that is an ongoing and changing topic. Philanthropy and charitable giving continues to dominate the discussions, with inquiries also coming from professional advisors on behalf of their clients in respect of their Goldens. As Golden Rescue has received inquiries in these areas, we'll continue to respond, monitor, and report. Donations from bequests in 2020 was minimal, yet activity in the Cates estate, which is now public, continues in the courts and is scheduled to conclude in 2020 in GR's favor, which I'm happy to report. And that concludes my report for 2020. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Harry. So I just have to ask, does somebody have a Golden playing with a squeaky toy, or is someone sitting on a whoopee cushion? Okay, up next, Julie. Julie, you're going to talk about the picnic first, and then you're going to talk about education second. But you have to unmute yourself.
All right. The picnic, as you are well aware, did not happen last year. Our celebration of 30 years did unfortunately not occur. But as Viva mentioned earlier, we did have some positives that came out of it with the auction that went online. It actually, embarrassing to me, made more money than the picnic has since I've been there. So in one auction. But that's good though. Right now we've transitioned. We're doing better that way. that's financially great for Golden Rescue. In place of the picnic last year, we did a virtual kind of celebration of people's appreciation of Golden Rescue, as well as their love for their Goldens. And this year is going to be just as fantastic as last year was planned to be. We have some new events that are taking place. We do have Golden Turd Bingo and a few other fun events. And the e-blast went out today, and we've already had 10 responses saying that, yes, they're coming. So I have a good feeling about this year's picnic. Fingers crossed. And once again, make sure that everybody here has to RSVP me so I know everybody's coming. Thanks, Jane. I got yours today. All right. Now education, that's been much busier than the picnic for sure. Actually, this whole education idea came from Viva. It was initiated at a conversation at my very first Golden Rescue AGM. And anyone who knows Viva, and we all do, understands that if she has a vision and she has a goal, it's going to happen. So anyways, Viva has actually made this happen. We started off in 2020, and of course, then COVID took over, and anything that we had booked kind of went on hold. We had some library presentations made. We had girl guides, a few things that were going to happen. And then partway through 2020, Viva said, well, why don't we just go virtual? Yeah, I'm not sure why I didn't think of that, but yeah, what a great idea, Viva. And you have your mission and your motivation, and it happened. And now we've done numerous presentations. We've got a great team of 8 presenters right now that Viva trained. She put a presentation for us together, explained how Golden Rescue works. And education really can help make a difference. As a teacher, I believe that through changing the lens that people see rescue through. I didn't understand rescue when I learned about it through Golden Rescue online, and then I went, why am I buying a dog? So yeah, so if people could understand maybe a little bit about responsible dog ownership to reduce the number that need to be rescued, and understand the importance of rescue, I think that we might not be needed down the road. That's going to be a little ways yet, but let's hope that maybe someday that could actually happen. The requests that we've presented, or the requests that we've had for presentations, have come from a variety of different groups. We've had tomorrow, there's a presentation to a grade 1 and 2 class. There was a kindergarten class last week. We've had grade 7 and 8, a grade 9 class. We've had the Rotary Club, Responsible Dog Owners of Canada. What else have we had? The Engineering Social Group from Waterloo University. There was, so we've had a variety of, pretty neat. And all fairly good responses, good testimonials that we have. And now, and there's another one, Pathfinders was another group that we did as well. Anyways, sorry. Education team, because it's not always possible to reach groups at all times and in all places throughout the year, but virtual connections can happen from long distances at almost any time. Hopefully, with the promotion of responsible dog ownership and rescue, and the education about rescue, that, like I said, we won't be needed in the near future. Thanks.
Thank you, Julie. Yeah, your education team has really taken off well. It's great. And this year's picnic, we are 90% sure that it's going to happen. So that's great. All right. Next up is Lori Caldy, and you're going to talk about fundraising. Thanks, Lori.
Yeah, hi guys, I'm Lori. I'm probably one of the newer members to the board, but happy to be here. And I joined Golden Rescue Board last fall, and I was really impressed with the work that you all do, and I was eager to lend a hand. And I've been building a team of interested fundraisers, and our role is to approach corporations for donations and sponsorships, which has been a bit tricky in the COVID world, but nevertheless, we've raised money. We started gaining new followers and money through a crowdfunding campaign late last year via Charity Village. And the team has met several times, and we're now reaching out to various corporations for support. We also gathered several auction prizes and found some corporations who were willing to share our posts within their networks to spread the word. We're hoping to secure some larger gifts in 2021 and to find some companies who are willing to sponsor our 50-50 monthly draws. So we're working on that. We also surpassed our target for the cabin fever reliever campaign, had some fun with that virtually, and the team will continue to sell the Wishbone Lottery tickets again this year. So I had fun with that last year and looking forward to selling them again this year. So I'm also the proud mama of my sweet 3-year-old golden, Abby, and she's from Cairo. And I've had her since November, and she's the talk of the town in my neighborhood. Let me tell you, everybody knows Abby. So thank you, Golden Rescue. I'm so grateful to have her and glad to be on the team. That's the end
Thanks,
of my.
Lori. Thanks so much, Lori. Okay.
Good evening, everyone.
Lori.
So 2020, of course, was a challenging year for everyone, and Golden Rescue Events was not spared the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. We had started yet another promising year with a full event schedule, only to see cancellation after cancellation starting in March, continuing through the remainder of the year and into 2021. We were not alone in this, and like most other organizations, we struggled to find lucrative ways to offer engaging events online. The events team pivoted and rose to the challenge to find new ways to fundraise through virtual events, and this resulted in many bright spots in the 2020 event schedule. In 2019, we brought in approximately $51,500 in revenue for events. Even with all the live cancellations in 2020, we were only down just under $8,000 from 2019's revenue, with a total of approximately $43,700. I was very pleasantly surprised by this. This would not have been possible without the fabulous efforts of the events team, and especially Juanita, who we've mentioned before, who ran 2 very successful online auctions, bringing us over $31,000 in revenue last year. Our other virtual events included monthly webinars and trivia nights, as well as our first ever Golden Retriever Believers Cabin Fever Reliever. In 2021, we continued the webinars, first running a very successful day-long training conference in January, bringing in close to $5,000 in one day. Other events are planned for this year as we continue to expand our online events presence. While we have had some success with the online events, one thing we are lacking is the awareness that we get at our live events. Going to fairs, pet expos, holding tag days, or just having someone at a local pet store is invaluable for spreading awareness about Golden Rescue. We simply cannot raise the same level online as we do in person when we're out in public talking to people. We gain new volunteers, adopters, fosters, supporters. The list goes on. There is no price we can put on this. Our plans to move into other provinces is currently on hold, but I'm hopeful that by spring 2022, we can begin our events as planned in New Brunswick and hopefully out in Western Canada. Events here in Ontario will open up once again, and I suspect there will be many new protocols to follow in the near future. We are only starting to see the impacts that this pandemic will have on venues and businesses. At the end of 2020, we sadly saw the closure of the Pickering Markets, one of our best events, and I would like to thank them for their unwavering support of Golden Rescue over the years. There are many venues that support us, too many to name here, and we are so thankful and look forward to them welcoming us back when it is safe to do so. Virtual events are here to stay now, but imagine what we will accomplish once the world returns to normal and we can once again hold live events. I would like to thank everyone on the events team who helped make 2020 a success despite the challenges we faced. Special thank you to the communications and social media team for working closely with us to ensure the success of all events with timely promotions across all the channels. We are a strong team, passionate and dedicated to our mission and goals. Each team fills a role in the success of Golden Rescue. None of what we do could be accomplished without the support of other teams and the volunteers who selflessly give their time to our cause. In closing, I look forward to seeing what the future holds for Golden Rescue, and I'm excited to be a part of such a fantastic organization. To all our volunteers, supporters, followers, venues, and my fellow board members, Thank you for all you do to help give our precious Goldens a second chance. Thank you.
Okay, so despite what the world has gone through, Golden Rescue has done some reinventing, and we've come through it because of you and our incredible volunteers. The next item of business to consider is Golden Rescue's audited financial statements for the year ended December 31st, 2020. Sharon Kelly, our treasurer, is up next, along with Jamie Orland, our accountant auditor from Go LLP, to report on our financial statements. So Sharon, you can take it from here. Okay.
Thanks, Viva. Hello, I'm Sharon Kelly, and I'm a retired chartered professional accountant. I reside in Windsor, and I was elected treasurer in the fall of 2010. Go Chartered Professional Accountants has performed the annual audit and the necessary filings for us as a registered charity. Mr. Jamie Orland, partner, is in attendance this evening and will make some remarks after my report. The financial statements are in draft, awaiting approval by the board this evening, and were circulated to the members of the board earlier this afternoon. Management and directors are responsible for the preparation and fair presentation of these financial statements, and as treasurer, I have assumed this role, along with my mighty treasury team who helps me keep everything in balance, and I do appreciate them. Total revenues in 2020 were $822,353, which is an increase from total revenues in 2019, which were $776,915. Donations and silent auctions increased our funds significantly in 2020. Donations were for specific campaigns to rescue golden retrievers, Cairo, Turkey, and some Mexico. The 24 karat gold campaign is an example in particular, and we were very successful with donations exceeding $500,000. COVID put an end, as we've heard, to our annual picnic and other fundraising events. However, virtual events and a successful more than one silent auction continued to bring in much needed funds. Total expenses were $653,530, and that was down from $886,553 from 2019. Our veterinary fees, behavioral and training, and dog supplies continue to be our largest expense, $562,194 compared to $787,609 in 2019. Included in this total are expenses related to international intake, meaning bringing the dogs to Canada. That's about $173,000, as well as behavioral modification training and boarding, and that was about $173,000. Expenditures to transport Goldens into Canada are not reflected in the average cost per dog, but do represent a significant cost to the organization. The average cost per dog increased $2,017 for 193 dogs versus $1,823, 316 dogs in 2019. International intake dogs represent many more dogs than those who came into our care from our region. We are grateful for our generous donors, especially the veterinary hospitals that either issue discounts to us or provide donations. Each animal entering our program presents its own individual care issues, and we strive to maintain significant revenue to provide the care that they need to find their forever homes. Fundraising expenses include purchases for general store and special events. These expenses were less due to the cancellation of all events and the limited availability of our online store due to closures by COVID. Increase in administrative expenses primarily represents courier and postage and printing and photocopying. Our balance sheet shows an increase in cash due to the increase in donations. Accounts receivable is monetary donations received after the year end, but pertaining to 2020, which continues to decrease now as most funds are received via electronic funds transfer immediately to Golden Rescue. The investment represents our letter of credit of $40,000 plus a little interest that we are required in order to have the Wishbone Lottery license. Accounts payable and accruals are primarily for vet fees, vet training fees, and the audit. Our net position was an increase of revenue over expenses of $168,813, whereas 2019 and 2018, we incurred deficits, partially due to our hearts being larger than our finances and bringing in, as you heard, a significant amount of dogs in 2019. Fundraising in 2020 has focused on the international intake cost, specific fundraising campaigns to achieve an operating surplus and to meet the needs of the organization, since lottery funds can only be used for the dog's care, veterinary especially. I continue to be amazed by the dedication of the many volunteers and supporters of Golden Rescue. Our board and volunteers have successfully managed this organization through the pandemic of 2020. And we, my husband and I, don't know, I'll bring tears, what our life would be without the rescues that we have had. And our two first, Morgan and Nellie, were babies, but Max, Callie, Reg, Missy, and Poppy have been the best part of our life. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. Jamie, you're making some comments too now?
Sure. I just want to say, thank you for having me here this evening. The audit process this year went incredibly smoothly. Our audit found no significant issues in internal controls or any other significant issues in any of your accounting records or controls. So it was a perfectly clean audit. I do want to thank Sharon and the Treasury team especially. We had no adjusting entries this year whatsoever. So it was a perfect game was thrown. So thank you for that. It makes life much easier for us. And I just really appreciate the opportunity to help out the organization any way I can. Thank you.
Thanks, Jamie. So I think, can someone move that the financial statements for 2020 be accepted?
I move that the 2020 financial statements be accepted.
It's Patty. I'll second that motion.
Okay, great. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so carried. Thank you. So the next item on our agenda is the election of or elections. Before we start with the actual elections, we are saying adieu, just adieu, not goodbye, to Monica Freilich. Monica started volunteering right around the time when she and Chris adopted Toby 422. And seeing as we're at over 3,600 Goldens, 422 was a long time ago. Monica, do you realize that's 18 years ago? I mean, that's incredible. Wow. There are very few things that Monica hasn't been involved with. Monica and Chris started off volunteering at our events, and then she helped convert our Golden history files into a paperless format. And that seems like such a long time ago when you did that. Yeah. That's because it was. She joined the follow-up team, has fostered, and has done many home visits and transports. Monica and Chris were on our infamous drive to JFK to pick up our first big flight of international Goldens from Istanbul, and adopted Georgie 2267 from that flight. And there have been many such trips since. She and Chris over the years have adopted Toby 422, Oban 2125, Layla 2145, who married my Oakley at a picnic. Georgie 2267, Casey 2336, Dreamer 2579, and O'Keefe 3340. All of her contributions have been nothing short of great, but nothing compares to her role as our Director of Events, which she took on in 2016 when she joined the Board of Directors. Over the years, Monica's team has put on event after event, way too many to recount. She built an incredible team, and year after year, we had 40 plus events that brought so much awareness to Golden Rescue and also raised a substantial amount of money. She is passing over her reins to Vaughn Kitson, who has been on the events team for quite some time, and she has and will be and will continue to be a mentor and a great support to Vaughn and the team. Monica, your contributions to Golden Rescue have been truly remarkable and immeasurable. We know you are stepping away from the lead role, but you are staying active with Golden Rescue, and for that, we are also very grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, Viva.
So,
you.
We do have, as we just mentioned, a new board member joining us, Vaughn Kitson, as our new Director of Events. Monica, would you like to introduce Vaughn?
Sure.
Tell us a little bit more about him.
Yes. Well, first of all, thank you, Viva, for your very kind words. And thank you to all you fantastic board members. It has been an absolute honor and pleasure to serve with you the past 5 years. I will miss you all, but I know this is not goodbye. I will be seeing you all again. And I'm sure we'll all be in touch in one capacity or another. So anyways, on to Vaughn. And well, Vaughn Kitson's been a volunteer for Golden Rescue for many years, helping at events as far back as 2009. He appeared on my radar in 2016, which was the first year I was the events director, when he signed up for a shift to help with the Pickering markets. His attention to detail and his organizational skills quickly caught my eye, and before long, he was taking a more active role in the setup and takedown of events, proving to be an excellent asset to the events team. A few years later, he became the events evaluator for me, searching out and researching venues that might be feasible for holding fundraising events for Golden Rescue. Showing his dedication and passion for Golden Rescue, Vaughn became an event coordinator, running many events that required the tent setup and merchandise. He presented us with an inventory control and management system for events, monitored merchandise sales, and provided us with a consistent setup for all events requiring the tent. It was a natural step for him to take on the role of team lead for that area of events. Last year, before COVID shut down all of our events, I had asked Vaughn to be my backup for events, should the need arise, and to take on a bigger role so that I could focus my efforts on our provincial expansion and seek out other fundraising opportunities for events. He readily agreed. My terms on this board would have concluded next year in 2022. My decision to step down from this role a year early is due to work commitments and the knowledge that a transition during a time where there are no live events would be much smoother. I can think of no better person than Vaughn, with his enthusiasm and initiative, to take on this challenge and pick up where I leave off to continue to make Golden Rescue events an even bigger success. Thank you, Vaughn.
Yeah, thank you. So Monica, would you please move the nomination of Vaughn Kitson for a 3-year term?
I move that Vaughn Kitson be elected as director of the corporation to hold office for 3 years.
Cynthia, I second the motion.
Are there any other nominations? Okay, I declare the nominations closed. So all in favor? Unanimous. Okay, I declare that Vaughn Kitson is a duly elected as a director of Golden Rescue to hold office for 3 years. Thank you very much, Vaughn, and we look forward to working with you.
Welcome aboard.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Welcome. Congratulations.
And thank you so much for everything, Monica. You've really helped me so much.
Oh, I'm sure we'll be talking a lot in the near future. I'm sure we will.
No doubt.
Yeah.
So the next item of business, the appointment of auditors for the corporation.
I move that Go LLP be appointed auditors of the corporation until the next annual meeting or until a successor is appointed, and that their remuneration as such be fixed by the board.
Jane, I second the motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, good. All right, thank you. Carried. Is there any other business that we need to carry out? Anything anyone else has? No, good. So that concludes our AGM, and I declare the 2021 Annual General Meeting adjourned. Thank you everyone for caring so much about Goldens and Golden Rescue. Stay safe, everyone, and a huge thank you from all our Golden Fur Balls.
Thank you, Viva.
Thank you, Viv.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.